What's up, guys? It has been with 2020 election predictions, and I just wanted to update y'all on the state of the race. So there's something that I honestly didn't really anticipate to happen. It is it's something that we kind of saw in the polls going forward. But Trump is vastly overperforming with African Americans and Hispanics, and I think this showed a lot in Florida. In the Miami-Dade county, which is the biggest county in the entirety of Florida, Trump overperformed his margin in 2016 by over 20 points. And this is unbelievable. However, where Trump is underperforming, it appears like, is in the state of Ohio and just overall in the Rust Belt. So the states that we would be affected by this would be kind of his coalition that he built in 2016 of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So what it appears like right now is that Trump is vastly overperforming his anticipations in the Sun Belt, but just based on anecdotal data right now, it appears like that in the Rust Belt, Trump might not be doing as well as previously anticipated there. So, and the reason why I'm kind of basing my estimates on there is in the state of Ohio, Trump appears to be down, which is actually very, very interesting. I do think Trump's going to win in Florida, if that's kind of not already called. Trump's going to win Florida. Trump's going to win Georgia. And increasingly, it is looking like that Trump is going to win in North Carolina. One state that has not been called yet that I think will be very interesting to look at is the state of Texas. I do still think that Trump is going to win there, but I think it is a little bit closer than previously anticipated. But looking at it now, I still think that Trump will be able to hold on to Texas. But, I mean, this would be a very, very interesting night. If Biden were to take Texas, while Trump takes Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina, which increasingly it looks like that he will do. I mean, I think what this shows is that the pollsters are not right. I base a lot of my forecasts on the pollsters, and it appears like that the polls were wrong. Trump is going to win Florida. The polls were not telling us this. It appears like that Trump is going to win Georgia. The polls were not telling us that there. And it appears like that Trump is going to win North Carolina. He had to win these three states, and it appears like that he is doing that. We are not going to know who wins in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, or in Wisconsin for a while. I think we could have a general idea of who might win in Texas. I do think President Trump will end up pulling out Texas, but I think it is a lot closer than anticipated. And obviously, I mean, we saw with the early voting, it was higher than in-person voting in 2016. So voter turnout is through the roof. We saw that higher voter turnout in Florida actually helped President Trump. So I think that kind of disbands the myth that higher voter turnout is always going to help the Democrats. But just kind of looking at the betting odds overall, I don't think we know too much more than we did before the election. Yes, Trump, it looks like Trump is going to take Florida. I think that's pretty definite. It looks like Trump is going to take Georgia. I feel pretty confident in that. And it looks like increasingly that Trump is going to take North Carolina. However, that doesn't really change the arithmetic too much. I mean, yes, Biden is not going to win in a landslide. Whoever wins, it's going to be very, very narrow. But I still think it's pretty likely that Biden kind of wins in the Rust Belt. And I'm honestly surprised right now with the returns in Ohio. I was surprised by Florida that Trump won by a pretty significant margin. But also, I'm pretty surprised about how competitive that Biden is in the state of Ohio. Trump won Ohio by eight percentage points in 2016. It looks like that Ohio is going to be decided within 2 points right now. And I mean, right now, if we look at the results in the state of Ohio, 50% of the vote has been counted, and Biden is up by 12% percentage points. And this isn't just the early vote. If we break down the vote, it's partially the early vote, but it's also that they're counting some election day voting. So I think the Trump campaign can take some victories in the states of Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina, and say, look, this is going to eat into Joe Biden's supposed states that he might be up in. However, if we look more intently at these Rust Belt states, the states that gave Donald Trump the victory in 2016, more specifically Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, I think that we see that Trump's support might have declined, and he only won those states by less than a percentage point, with the exception of Ohio. So I think we're going to know a lot more about the election when we get more results out of the Rust Belt. I don't think we're going to know which way Pennsylvania goes, and I do think that that's going to be the decider. I don't really think anyone thought that the election was going to be decided in the state of Florida, and we do see now that President Trump is going to win the state of Florida. I had said for a while that I thought President Trump was going to win Florida, but still overall, I do think Biden's going to win, and I stand by those predictions. If we look at the betting odds, we can see that definitely Trump has improved some, but Joe Biden is still the favorite. Joe Biden is at minus 150, and I think the reason why we are seeing this is because while Trump is improving a lot in the Sun Belt, if we look at Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina, Trump, so he's gained on his support. And if we break down where Trump has gained support, especially in Florida, it's specifically among Cuban Hispanics, and Hispanic areas in the urban areas, and also with African Americans. And he really didn't lose that much support among seniors. This was definitely kind of a big talk before the election, is that, oh, look, Trump is going to do a lot worse with seniors. So let me go into the chat, answer some of y'all's questions. So Cole Walter says, betting odds are just going crazy because of money inflow in the books. And he says that this is from Bryce. He voted for Trump. So this is true that the betting odds necessarily cannot be trusted completely. However, what I've noticed is looking at the live betting odds on Bovada, that they have been a pretty accurate indicator of where the race is, and they change a lot more rapidly than sometimes when we get the results in. And one reason why I like to look at the betting odds and also at the New York Times needles is because sometimes I think we can glean more data from those than we can just from kind of looking at the raw data coming in, but because we don't know how many of those are early votes that lean Democratic or some of the other ways. So Cole asks, what states do you think are closest as of now? So I do think that North Carolina is going to come down to the wire. I think that the state of Ohio, I think that some of the urban areas like Columbus, Ohio, are going to be very close and might decide who wins the election. But I think previously people thought that Ohio was not necessarily going to be a tipping point state. People thought it was going to be pretty good for President Trump there just because he won by such a large margin in 2020. But I think what we have seen is Biden has been able to kind of appeal to kind of the white working class vote. Something that I don't think Hillary Clinton was ever able to do there. And mainly I'm watching the vote totals come in on the New York Times needles. I'm flipping between CNN and Fox. Personally, and this isn't kind of an indication of my partisan leanings. I think that CNN just has kind of better coverage, just kind of focusing on different things. And I mean, I'm kind of shocked with what I'm seeing right now. I mean, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina, I did have all these going towards President Trump, but I also had Ohio going to Trump. And it's looking like more and more that Joe Biden is doing better in Ohio than previously we thought by a tremendous margin. So we will definitely see more of this information as we go on with our night. I mean, I feel pretty comfortable in calling Florida and Georgia for President Trump's tepidly. I think we can call North Carolina for Trump. The New York Times indicator gives Trump a 77% chance to win North Carolina. However, this doesn't really change that much in the race. I think we know now that Biden isn't going to win in a landslide. But even on the 538 podcast, if I give Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida to President Trump, then it's a 50-50 race. And if we kind of look more closely at the betting odds, we can see that Biden is still the favorite by kind of similar margins to what we saw kind of yesterday. I mean, Trump's chances have definitely improved, but Biden is still the betting favorite right now. We can see that if North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida go to President Trump, but Ohio goes to Biden, which increasingly it is looking like this, which is just totally shocking to me. Then we see that Biden has a 99% chance to win. However, if Trump were to win Ohio, then he is now the betting favorite at a 52% chance to win. And so I think increasingly our attention should be towards Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and Iowa there. So that's very interesting. Cole Walter, thank you so much for the super chat right there. He says Ohio equals Biden country. So Cole Walter from the state of Ohio, he thinks it's Biden country. If his home state decides the election, I think Ohio definitely could be kind of a bellwether. Cole Walter, thank you so much for the super chat. Hopefully we can get a stream rolling of more super chats to come in. Thank you very much. So Cole, that was just a very, very generous donation there. I don't know how I can ever pay you back. Will Biden allow fans at Ohio State games? So I think this has been a big concern is with the coronavirus and with shutdowns. What we're seeing is in the state of Florida, Miami, which is kind of one of the biggest party places in the U.S., and we're seeing with younger voters that they're going for Trump with bigger margins in 2020 compared to 2016. I think part of the reason for this is the attitude that the thought that Biden might shut the country down again, but Trump is going to open this up. So I think especially in Florida, especially in Miami, where partying, going clubbing, that's just such a big part of the culture. And we've seen that the governor of Florida, who is a Republican, Ron DeSantis, he opened everything up. There's currently no coronavirus restrictions right now. And I think a lot of the young college students who aren't necessarily super passionate about politics, they might just like based on who's gonna let me party more. And obviously this is only kind of for a very small percentage of the voting population, but it matters, but because there's a lot of college students there. So Cole Walter, again, if you're watching right now, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. And I will definitely keep y'all updated as we go on in the night. So Biden is down by 17% in Michigan. Do you think he can get back on top? So in these states where we don't really have, I mean, Michigan only has about 12% of the estimated vote in. In a lot of these states, when we have kind of early vote totals, it's really hard to know who is up. And so I think definitely that we're going to have to wait. Right now, I think right now one of the kind of the more accurate predictors can be right now is the New York Times needles. So if we go, if you go to the New York Times needles, I think those can kind of be some of the more accurate predictors. They were kind of the first ones to predict that Florida was going to go to President Trump, and I think that the media organizations are going to follow pretty soon on that prediction. But I think in North Carolina, why the needles show that President Trump is going to win is because all of the early votes have been counted. And if we know anything about the polls nationwide, we saw that overall that an overwhelming amount of the early votes were cast by Democrats, and I think this kind of mainly came down from kind of a top down approach from the Democratic National Convention, saying that because of coronavirus concerns, we want most of our voters to vote by mail. And so that's something that I think in many of these states, we are seeing the early results are coming from Democrats mainly who voted by mail. So even though that Joe Biden is up by about 6 points right now in North Carolina, I think we're going to see that even up. And now it's only by 4 points. So let me go to the chat. Mason Love, thanks so much for joining the live stream. I really appreciate you joining right now. I'd love to see some of my friends in real life, meeting my YouTube viewer friends. So that's something that definitely is fun to watch. One thing that I don't know if y'all have seen, so currently on the New York Times forecast, I can only see the needles for Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. I can't find them for some of the other like swing states, or maybe overall what they might be for the election overall. This is something that I just haven't seen right now. And if we look at North Carolina, 75% of the vote is in. While Donald Trump is ahead by 4% right now, I do think it's going to be a lot closer there. We just saw it. We just hit 9 p.m. Eastern right now. A lot more of the polls are closing. The polls have closed in Pennsylvania, and they're closing more in some of the central time zone states. So as they come in, I'll definitely be counting them. Texas is a very interesting state. I do think that Donald Trump is going to overtake Joe Biden in the state of Texas. I definitely want to look more kind of at the betting odds right now, kind of state by state, because I think this is something that will be very interesting to know. So the Republicans are still favored in the state of Texas. If we look at Florida, it's definitely kind of overwhelmingly for the Republicans right now. But overall in the betting odds, Joe Biden is still the favorite. So let me kind of get to the chat. Are you rooting more for your prediction to be accurate in each state or for a preferred candidate? So I'm gonna try to stay unbiased right now. I hope that y'all can't kind of tell who I'm cheering for right now. So far my predictions have been pretty accurate. My latest prediction, the only state that would be not completely accurate would be in the state of North Carolina. I had it in the past going to Donald Trump. In my latest prediction, I had it very narrowly going for Joe Biden, but it does appear like that Trump is going to eke the state of North Carolina. Still, I think that Joe Biden is going to win. I think he could very well win in North Carolina, Georgia, and in Florida. But what we are seeing from the state of Ohio, I still think President Trump's probably going to win in Ohio. But the fact that it's pretty close in Ohio, what that shows is that states with similar demographics on the Rust Belt, like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, those are all going to be closer, and I think we're going to see that there. So right now, I'm at about 21 minutes in my live stream. I might take a quick break. If I get a super chat or two, I'll probably stay on for right now. So I'll wait for those for a minute. But I definitely kind of want to watch the live coverage and stay updated there. But let me know what y'all are thinking right now, and I'll be back soon.